All right, day 2 of symbiosis. We're all the way over on page 321, and we're looking at types of parasites. So in your notes, we're going to come down here and start making types of parasites. Have you ever heard of having a puppy wormed? This term refers to giving the puppy a medicine that kills any tapeworms that may be living in its intestine. So a type of parasite is a tapeworm. Tapeworms are long, flat worms that live in the intestines of dogs, humans, and many other animals. Long, zoop, flat, zoop intestines. Suckers or hooks allow the tapeworm to attach to the inner wall of the animal's intestine. Suckers/hooks attach inside. There, the tapeworm absorbs food. Because the host has already digested the food, the tapeworm does not need a digestive system of its own. A tapeworm reproduces through a complex life cycle. Complex meaning many, many steps, or difficult steps. Remember how many steps there were in this picture for the tapeworm life cycle? Complex life cycle. Its fertilized eggs are released into the host's intestines and eventually leave the host's body in feces. Eggs released. Another animal may eat the eggs, typically with spoiled water or food. In the second host, the eggs hatch into larvae that travel to muscle cells. Second host, arrow, eggs hatch. There they form inactive structures called cysts. Humans and other animals become infected when they eat cyst-laden meat. Okay, so that's these steps here, right? Now it actually starts over here with this part. Humans become infected eating raw or undercooked pork, and they get tapeworm. The eggs come out, and they can infect or spoil water and food. The animals eat that spoiled water or food, something that's contaminated, and grow cysts. The cysts end up creating more eggs that hatch and get eaten in uncooked food, and the cycle continues. So that's why it's a complex life cycle. There are a lot of steps, and it's actually 2 different hosts. You have one host where the cysts are, and another host where the tapeworm is. Okay, let's see. Parasites often transmit diseases that are much more harmful than the parasite itself. Often transmit diseases. For example, the deer tick is a common parasite of deer, humans, and other animals. Example given, E.G. deer tick. These ticks can transmit the bacteria that cause Lyme disease. So they cause Lyme disease. Plants can have parasites too. The dodder vine has no chlorophyll. It cannot make its own food. Dodder vine. Instead, it attaches itself to other plants and steals their food. Steals food. Mistletoe grows as a parasite on oak and other trees. And there's a picture of it. Mistletoe on trees. Its roots grow into the branches of the host tree. There, they absorb nutrients from the host, sometimes weakening or killing it. Can weaken or kill host. Okay. Ticks can transmit diseases as they feed on a host. We talked about transmitting diseases. Mistletoe can weaken or even kill its host tree. Mistletoe can weaken or kill host. How do parasitism and predation differ? Okay, well, parasitism is when one benefits and the other is harmed. The parasite causes harm, and the host gets harmed. Okay. They differ in that predators eat and kill their prey all the time, every time. But parasites often only weaken the host or transmit diseases to them. They want to weaken the host so they can maintain a constant food supply. So that's how they differ. Parasites don't always kill their hosts, and they can feed off them for a very long time. Okay. Symbiosis with humans. Symbiosis with humans. Although you might not realize it, other organisms are living inside and on you, In fact, many help keep you healthy. Large numbers of bacteria live in your large intestine. Bacteria in intestine. These bacteria feed on food that has not been fully digested. Feed on undigested food. Some of the bacteria produce vitamin K and other nutrients that humans need. Can produce vitamins/nutrients. This is an example of mutualism. Both species benefit. Mutualism. Not all symbiotic relationships with humans are harmless. Many are parasitic. A parasitic fungus causes ringworm, a skin disease. Parasitic fungus, E period, G period, for example given, ringworm. Okay, that's a very common thing, like with wrestling. When you go to high school, wrestlers sometimes get ringworm because it's in the spongy mats that they wrestle on. A parasitic amoeba causes amoebic dysentery. So the little quotes means we're copying parasitic without having to write the whole thing. So parasitic amoeba cause dysentery. What is dysentery? That's basically like deadly diarrhea. Yeah. Amoebic dysentery is a serious disease in which the parasite destroys the lining of the intestines. Serious, Zoop, destroys intestine. So it's like diarrhea, but it's so bad it's destroying your intestines, and they can't heal fast enough, and you can actually die because you will dehydrate and not be able to absorb water anymore, or you won't be able to absorb nutrients in food. So that can actually, dysentery can actually kill you. And if you're like in Mr. Moreland's class and you've gotten to play a little bit of Oregon Trail, you know that characters in Oregon Trail, the video game, can die of dysentery. That's what it is. Okay, next up, malaria is one of the world's most serious parasitic diseases. It is caused by protists. So again, they are parasitic, so parasitic protists cause malaria. Malaria kills about 2 million people every year and affects as many as 500 million more. Kills 2 million per year. Malaria. Malaria is very common like in Africa and South America, in tropical places, especially where there are mosquito problems. We don't get a lot of malaria in the United States, but it could be a problem like really far south in Mexico, Panama, Guatemala, places like that, or it can be a problem in Africa. You hear a lot of cases of malaria. So these 2 million people a year that are dying often are near the tropics and the rainforests. Okay, invertebrate parasites are extremely common in the tropics. Common in tropics. Most of these parasites are various species of worm. Humans are infected when they come into contact with water or food that has been contaminated by worms. Food and water. All right, let's look at the table. Parasite, Plasmodium malariae, in other words, malaria. Infection with this protist can cause chills, fever, diarrhea, and death. Treatment, anti-malarial drugs. So you have to take special drugs to kill the parasite. Sarcoptes scabiei, or scabies. Scabies are small mites that burrow under the skin of the host, forming tiny tunnels and causing an itchy rash. Prescription, medication. So they're kind of like ticks, kind of like lice. Again, you have to have a prescription medication to get rid of them. Pediculus humanus, capitis, or lice. Head lice live on the human scalp, that's your head, and feed on human blood several times a day, causing intense itching of the scalp. Combination of special shampoo and egg removal. So you have to use a shampoo to kill the lice, and then you have to use a special comb to comb off the little eggs off of the hair and make sure they don't hatch. So that's how you take care of lice. Okay, out of all these three, lice are very common for us to have to deal with. So let's put the quotes for the parasitic, because we're copying that word here. Parasitic lice cause your scalp, they live in the scalp, and they cause you to itch. All right. Phase 1, taking notes, is over. Phase 2, processing, is starting. Remember, we're going to highlight and annotate the key details that support the main idea. let's start with the visual summary and the highlighting. Symbiosis means living together. Okay, let's go highlight all the stuff that says that. Symbiosis, close relationship. Symbiosis, close living relationship. Symbiotic. Symbiosis with humans. And that was about it. Okay. Examples of symbiosis occur in all biomes. In mutualism, two species each benefit from their relationship. Okay, highlight mutualism. Mutualism, both benefit. Mutualism. Mutualism is both, and we can give an example when we write our paragraph. Parasites, parasites, parasites. Symbiosis with humans. Was there any mutualism? Yes. Mutualism. Bacteria in intestine. They produce vitamins or nutrients. There's an example of mutualism. Okay. Commensalism is a relationship in which one species benefits and the other species is neither harmed nor helped. Okay. Commensalism. Commensalism. One species benefits, other neither harmed nor helped. Commensalism. Commensalism 1, because only one benefits. There's examples we can use in our paragraph. Parasites, 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 and nothing over here was commensalism, okay? In parasitism, one organism lives in or on another organism and harms it in some way while benefiting itself. Okay, parasitism. Parasitism is one benefits and the other is harmed. A whole section on parasitism. One benefits, others harmed. The parasite causes harm. The host gets harmed. They usually weaken the host to get a constant food supply. Here's that word again, parasites. They absorb food. They often transmit diseases. They can weaken or kill their host. Examples in humans, there are parasitic fungus, so parasitic. They can cause dysentery. They can destroy your intestines. Humans can die from parasites, or it could be something as simple as an itch. All right, now let's look at our written main idea. Symbiosis is a close relationship between two different species. Symbiotic relationships include mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. So when we write all that, we're going to want to give an example of each one. Okay, mutualism, annotate it, it's when both benefit. Commensalism, annotate it, it's when only one benefits. Parasitism, annotate it, it's when one of them is harmed. Okay, here's symbiotic again, because that's really important. Here's mutualism, where both benefit. Here's commensalism, only one benefits. Here's parasitism. One usually is weakened to give a constant food supply. Let's see, looking at parasites. Parasites often transmit diseases. They can weaken or kill the host. And then symbiosis with humans. Here's an example. Dysentery, destroying the intestine, maybe even killing, or just causing the scalp to itch. Okay, so now when you write your phase 4 paragraph, you're going to start with all this main idea stuff, and then you're going to say what mutualism is. Mutualism is when both creatures benefit. For example, sea anemones and clownfish protecting each other. Or, for example, oxpeckers and hippopotamuses giving each other food and keeping each other clean. Give one example of commensalism, and you're going to say it, right? So you write all the stuff, and then there'll be a sentence that says commensalism is when one species benefits and the other is neither harmed nor helped, hurt. For example, and then use one of the examples. For example, a robin builds a nest in a tree. For example, a barnacle gets food when it rides on a whale. For example, a remora gets food when it hangs out with a shark. But only use one of those examples, not all three. And then the last one, parasitism, again, define it. Parasitism is when one creature benefits and the other is harmed. You could even change those words to say parasitism is when a parasite benefits by feeding off of a host that is harmed. And then look at all this stuff about parasites, a whole section about parasitism, a whole section about the types, a whole section, half a section about humans. So we're going to say something important like parasites usually weaken their host to gain a constant food supply. They can transmit diseases, zoop, even weakening or killing the host. For example, people can die from dysentery or malaria, or they might just get an itch from lice. You can use one of those examples when you write your paragraph. So, copying that main idea, defining each one, so there's another 3 sentences, and then giving an example, so there's another 3 sentences. So you're going to end up with anywhere from like 6 to 8 or maybe even 9 sentences, but they're all going to be short. Or you can jam them together, and you can have about 6 long sentences. Okay, next up, phase 3, connecting. I know and I predict. What do you know about symbiosis and close relationships? What do you know about 2 species benefiting from each other? Or only one benefiting and the other not being affected at all? Or what do you know about parasites, where one parasite is harming the host? It's not on this piece of paper, it's in your brain, and you're connecting it to what's here. What do you know in your brain? That's what you're telling me. Maybe you've seen something, maybe you watched a TV show, maybe you know from an experience in life, maybe you know from the pets you have, or something that happened to a family member, okay? Maybe you know from working on farms and ranches. What do you know in your brain? Then make a prediction. I predict something and give me a reason because. I predict blank because blah, 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 blah. All right. Good luck, persevere, have a growth mindset, and roar, Wildcats.